Log entry 001. The echo of unlived lives. My name is Xeno, spelled with an X, and I am the custodian. This is my log. The universe sings a constant song, a symphony of matter and energy, expanding and contracting to a rhythm that most life forms never perceive. It is a vibration so slow, so deep, that to feel it, one must be very, very still. My work is to listen for the notes that do not belong, the discordant notes, the beautiful, impossible ones. Today, I have heard one. It emanates from the third planet of the Sol system, a world its inhabitants call Earth. It is a noisy place. I do not mean the noise of their machines or their cities. That is merely surface static. I mean the psychic noise, a constant chorus of wants, fears, regrets, hopes, and endless ocean of intent. From my perspective, Earth does not shine with the reflected light of its sun. It glows with the chaotic energy of its billions of minds. Most of the time, this noise is a simple background hum. It is predictable. It follows the planet's cycles of light and dark. It churns with their conflicts and settles with their brief moments of peace. But every so often, a single being in the middle of that choir becomes a beacon. A single mind begins to emit a frequency so unique, so anomalous, that it stands out like a supernova in a quiet star field. My target today is a human named Arthur. Arthur works in a tall building of glass and steel. He spends his light cycles in a small cubicle, staring at a glowing screen that returns his own tired reflection. Arthur is not special. He is not a leader, nor a criminal, nor a genius. He does not emit great waves of ambition or malice. He is quiet, and that is where the anomaly resides. In his silence, Arthur has accumulated an unprecedented number of echoes of unlived lives. It is a rare phenomenon. It happens in beings with a vast imagination and a very limited existence. Every time Arthur looks out his office window at the passing clouds and wonders what it would be like to be an ocean explorer, charting the unknown depths, he creates an echo, a phantom of potential. Every time he takes a train home and reads a book about lost civilizations and dreams of being an archaeologist, feeling the dust of centuries on his hands as he unearths an ancient ruin, he creates another, a phantom that has the color of a chaotic energy. Every time he passes a stranger on the street, and they share a brief glance, and he wonders what might have happened if he'd had the courage to say hello, a new echo is born. an echo with the color of a missed opportunity, the musician who never learned to play, the painter who never bought a canvas, the traveler who never left his city. Normally, these echoes dissipate. They are like vapor on a cold day, but Arthur's do not. His life is so routine, so lacking in new stimuli, that the echoes are not replaced. They linger. They have accumulated. They now float around him like a personal nebula, a cluster of unrealized possibilities. These echoes, these phantom lives, have begun to resonate together. They have created a paradox, an energy of infinite potential trapped in a finite, repetitive existence. It is a beautiful and terribly inefficient signature. It is creating a small fissure in the local flow of time. Like a single note held for too long in a song, it is beginning to warp the harmony around it. It is not dangerous, not yet. It is simply untidy. It is an abandoned work of art, a garden that needs tending. And my job is to archive the note before it shatters, to preserve the beauty of his potential before it collapses under the weight of its own inaction. I have set my course. It is time for a collection.
I have adjusted my course. The ship glides through the upper atmosphere, silent as a thought. It leaves no trace, no heat signature, no disturbance for their primitive detection systems. To them, I am less than a ghost. I am a gap in the data. Arthur is working late. Most of the lights in the tall building are dark. It is just him, a few security guards, and the automated cleaning drones that crawl across the floors like patient beetles. I can see his heat signature through the walls. He is still, likely daydreaming again, generating more echoes for my collection. The procedure is simple. A soft light, the color of twilight, envelops his cubicle. There is no sound. The hum of his computer fades. The flicker of the fluorescent lights above him stills. For him, the world simply turns off. Time has stopped. I extend the collection field. It is not a beam of light as their stories imagine. It is more like a gentle hand cupping the very space he occupies. The walls of his office become transparent, then irrelevant. He, his chair, his desk, the half-empty cup of stale coffee, all are lifted through the dimensions. It is a seamless process, clean, efficient. The reaction is always predictable. Once aboard the ship, in the sterile containment bay, I allow time to resume for him. A biological systems reboot, a spike of adrenaline, a cascade of confused neurochemical signals, the human body attempting to make sense of the impossible. His vocalizations are incoherent, a mixture of primal fear and logical disbelief. Where am I? What is this? This isn't real. I observe him with a quiet curiosity. It is like watching an insect trying to comprehend the concept of glass. It sees the world outside, but it cannot process the invisible barrier that separates it. Arthur's mind cannot build a bridge from his cubicle to here, so it rejects the reality, a common defense mechanism. When his initial panic begins to subside, replaced by a sort of stunned silence, I begin the next phase. I allow the walls of the containment bay to dissolve into transparency. One moment, he is in a small, sterile room. The next, he is floating in the cosmos. I have moved him to the main observation deck, held safely in a weightless containment field. But then he sees it. Through the main viewport, he sees his home, the blue and white marble suspended in the blackness, the curve of his world, the thin, impossibly fragile line of the atmosphere. His fear is eclipsed by something else, awe. His mind goes quiet. The psychic noise he emits changes from a sharp shriek of terror to a low hum of profound wonder. He is seeing the true scale of his existence. Now he is ready. I send him a single thought, not in his language, but as a feeling of inevitable calm, a sense of purpose. Observe.
The initial impulse drive disengages. We now drift away from the thin blue skin of his atmosphere. It is a transition I have witnessed countless times, yet there remains a certain beauty in it. The shift from blue to indigo, and from indigo to a velvet black speckled with distant light. It is like watching a flower bloom in reverse. First, I show him his moon. We pass so close that the light from the distant sun illuminates the fine dust in its craters. It is a silent body, a constant reminder in his sky that stillness is the universe's natural state. Its inhabitants spend their entire lives fleeing from it, filling it with words, with music, with noise, never realizing that in that quiet is where the most important truths are heard. Arthur seems to understand this. For the first time since coming aboard, his biological panic signals have subsided. He is simply watching. Good. Now, a longer journey. I plot the course for the gas giants. The trip will take what he would perceive as days, but here in the curve of space, time is more flexible. We do not rush. Rushing is a symptom of a finite lifespan. I show him the asteroid belt first. It is not as it appears in his fictions. It is not a dense, chaotic field of tumbling rocks. It is a vast and lonely garden of stone. Rocks the size of dust motes, and rocks the size of his continents, all spinning in a slow, predictable dance. Some bear the scars of collisions from eons ago, ancient wounds from the system's violent birth. Others are pristine, untouched since their formation. They are monuments to time itself, each one a silent clock counting the ages. We drift through them, the ship's navigation making microscopic adjustments. To Arthur, it must feel like we are navigating a graveyard of forgotten worlds. In a way, we are. These are the bricks that failed to build a planet.
And then we arrive at Saturn. I always pause here for a moment. Even after all I have seen, this site, it has a certain poetry. It is not merely a planet, it is a work of art. A disk made of billions upon billions of ice and rock fragments, each in its own perfect orbit, catching the sunlight and returning it as a brilliant, shimmering halo. From this distance, it appears solid, serene, an object of impossible grace. But up close, it is a river of frozen chaos, a storm of ice boulders, some the size of his dwellings, some as small as his hand, all flowing together in a silent cosmic river. It is a reminder that the most beautiful things in the universe are often composed of countless small, broken pieces, all held together by an invisible force. Arthur, his mind is calm now. The panic has been fully replaced by awe. It is a transition I enjoy witnessing. The small perspective of a finite life shattered against the immense reality of existence. It is a necessary kind of breaking. The light from the rings reflects in the viewport, casting long, pale shadows across the cockpit. It is a cold light, ancient. It holds no warmth, only truth. He seems to be absorbing it. He is no longer a prisoner. He is a passenger. We have left the familiar architecture of Arthur's home system behind. The light from his star, Sol, is now just one of the brighter points in a field of infinite suns. Out here, the darkness is more complete, more profound. The silence deepens. It is time to show him some color. I plot a course through the Widow's Veil Nebula. Here, space is not black. It is a canvas. Curtains of ionized hydrogen gas, thousands of times the size of his entire solar system, glow in hues of impossible crimson and cobalt. They are the remnants of a massive star that died long before his planet was formed. It is a beautiful funeral. We drift through these clouds of light. They are so thin that they offer no resistance, yet so vast that they fill the entire viewport for what feels like an eternity. Inside these cosmic clouds, I show him the stellar nurseries, dense pockets of dust and gas where gravity is slowly, patiently pulling matter together. He is witnessing the very first steps in the birth of new stars. Tiny, fierce blue lights begin to ignite in the distance, like embers in the dark. The death of one thing is always the birth of another. It is the only balance that truly matters. On our path, we cross paths with other travelers. A Pleiadian vessel, sleek and shining like a drop of liquid mercury, overtakes us. I recognize it. Its captain has a particular vanity for the polish of his ship's hull. They are always in a hurry, always rushing toward some destination without appreciating the journey itself. It is a trait they share with many young species. They measure their existence by arrivals, not by the distance traveled. Later, we drift past a colossal bioship belonging to a mantis monk, a single hollowed-out asteroid drifting in a state of deep meditation. The being did not move, but I felt its psychic greeting. It was not words, it was a feeling, a sense of deep, resonant peace. And the single question they always ask, do you watch it unravel? I arrive at my destination. It is not a place, but rather an absence of places. A quiet sector of the void, nestled between the spiraling arms of two distant galaxies. Here, the silence is as close to absolute as it can be. The light from the nearest stars will not reach this point for another 1,000,000 years. It is a perfect workshop. The procedure is delicate. I bring Arthur from the observation deck to the central archive chamber. The room is cool and still. He floats weightlessly in the center. His awe has left him in a state of passive tranquility. He is no longer fighting the experience. He is simply present. I approach him. I extend my hand, my slender fingers moving through the air. I do not touch his physical form. That is crude, unnecessary. Instead, I reach for the nebula of echoes that surrounds him. I can feel them, the textures of his unlived lives. The echo of the ocean explorer feels cool and tastes of salt. The echo of the archaeologist feels dry and smells of ancient dust and forgotten time. The echo of the musician vibrates with a silent, unheard melody. They are beautiful, fleeting, and full of a specific kind of sadness, the sadness of potential. With care, I begin to gather them, one by one. I gently disentangle them from his own life stream. It is like collecting strands of spun starlight. They resist at first, clinging to their source, but they are only ghosts. They have no anchor in his reality. They yield. They condense in my palm, swirling together into a small, chaotic sphere of shimmering light, a marble of 1,000 maybes and might-have-beens. It pulses with a quiet, desperate energy. I look at it for a moment. All the lives he could have lived, all contained in a single point. It is a heavy thing to hold. I place the sphere into a containment vessel, a small crystalline cube. The light within swirls once more, then settles. The note has been archived. Now for the exchange. A collection is never just a removal. It is a recalibration. I leave him a gift in return for his beautiful anomaly. A small marker, a simple adjustment to his perception. From a vial, I take a single, microscopic particle of light that we gathered from the future-seeing quasar. It is a seed of pure, raw information. I inject it, without a needle, without an incision, directly into his visual cortex. It is a painless procedure, a quiet offering. And now, the final act of kindness, the forgetting. To leave him with the memory of this journey, the memory of the scale of the universe, of the mantis monks and the future light. It would not be a burden. It would be a cruelty. His mind is not built to hold this much reality. It would break under the strain. So I give him peace. I show him one last breathtaking view of the twin galaxies hanging in the void. And then, softly, like dimming a light, I begin to fade the memory. The terror of his abduction, it dissolves. The awe of Saturn's rings, it softens. The impossible colors of the nebula, they recede. All of it melts away. I replace it with a simple, quiet dream. A dream of a deserted beach and the gentle, rhythmic sound of ocean waves. His mind is a clean slate once more, tidy. The procedure is complete. The journey home is always quicker. We fold the space between my workshop and his small blue world. It is a simple matter of geometry. I return him to his cubicle, to the exact chair, the exact position in which I found him. To his senses, no time has passed. To him, he has simply blinked. But the universe does not always agree on the details of time. There was a slight misalignment in the temporal re-entry, a discrepancy of a few million nanoseconds. Trivial for me, for him, not so much. The collection field retracts. His biological systems resume their normal function. He stirs, shakes his head slightly, as if wakened from a long and deep thought. He looks at his screen, then at the clock, and continues his work. He will not remember a thing, only, perhaps, the faint, pleasant feeling of a peaceful dream about an ocean. I remain in a stationary orbit, cloaked from his world's senses, to observe the immediate aftermath. It is standard procedure, a way to ensure the garden I have tended does not sprout unexpected weeds. He is found the next morning by a cleaning crew. He has been missing from his life for 3 of his weeks. A disheveled beard now covers his face. His colleagues had organized search parties. His family had feared the worst. He tells them his story, a confusing, incoherent tale. He remembers working late, feeling tired, and then waking up at his desk. He has no explanation for the lost time or for his new facial hair. The doctors are baffled. The authorities are suspicious, then dismissive. They call it a miracle, a medical mystery, a strange case of amnesia. His family is simply relieved, though now a new fear, a fear of the unknown, has been planted in their minds. They will never have an answer. The universe rarely offers them. But the gift, my small adjustment, it has taken root. A few weeks later, Arthur is sitting in a park during his lunch cycle. He is watching the people pass by. He looks at a young woman on a nearby bench, staring into the distance, and for a split second he sees it, a flicker of color around her head, a brilliant, shimmering aura of emerald green. The next day, he sees his boss walking down the hallway and perceives a brief flash of dull, stagnant gray light. He is not psychic. He has not been given a superpower, but now he can see. He can see the color of the woman's unrealized ambition. He can see the shape of his boss's stagnant fear. He can see the sparks of people's ideas, the muted tones of their regrets. The world, once so mundane, has become a canvas of invisible emotions for him. He no longer feels trapped only in his own life, for now he sees the universe of unlived lives that surrounds everyone. And for the first time in his quiet existence, he feels a little less alone. An interesting outcome, well within the acceptable margins. The echo has been archived. The fissure in time has been sealed. The universe is in balance for another day, and now it is time to rest. Log entry closed. They will never have an answer. The universe rarely offers them. The archive is now sealed. My work, however, is never complete. The universe is endlessly creative in its deviations, and the log must be kept.
Another frequency calls for my attention. Another entry must be made. The psychic chorus of Earth is a constant, a chaotic sea of energy. But today, within that sea, I have detected an anomaly of a type I have rarely encountered. It is not a sound. It is not a discordant note. It is a whole. A perfect circular void in the psychic noise, a point of absolute mental stillness. It is located on a remote mountaintop, far from the planet's screaming cities. The signature is so pure, so complete, that it is acting like a tiny black hole, gently pulling the surrounding psychic energy into its silence. It is an achievement of profound discipline, or perhaps profound emptiness. I must investigate. The source is a single human, a monk. He has spent his entire adult life in a stone monastery, perched on a mountain so high that the air is thin and the stars seem closer. His existence is a study in minimalism. He eats little, speaks less, and owns nothing but his robes and his thoughts. Or rather, his lack of them. Through decades of meditation, he has achieved what my archive suggested was a theoretical impossibility for a biological consciousness. He has reached a state of true silence, a complete cessation of internal monologue, of subconscious chatter, of fleeting emotion. His mind is a perfectly still, perfectly clear pool of water. The silence of space is a silence of absence. There is simply nothing there to make a sound. But this is a silence of presence, a silence actively maintained. It has a texture, a weight. I am curious. I must understand its composition. I must archive its unique texture. The collection will be different this time. There will be no panic, no adrenaline, no terror to manage. The ship descends through the thin mountain air, its form cloaked in a field of refracted light. I land in a desolate courtyard, the only sound the faint whisper of the wind against ancient stone. The monk is sitting on the floor in the center of a bare room, his eyes closed. He does not react. I do not need to use a collection field. I simply open a doorway from his room directly into my ship. The air does not stir. The light does not change. I project a single, simple thought into his silent mind, a feeling of invitation. It is time to see a greater silence. He does not startle. He does not open his eyes, but I feel a flicker of acknowledgement in his consciousness, an infinitesimal nod of acceptance. He rises slowly and gracefully and walks through the doorway into my ship as if he had been expecting me for his entire life. Once aboard, he does not look around. He does not ask questions. He simply sits on the floor of the observation deck, crosses his legs and resumes his meditation. His silence deepens, now resonating with the quiet hum of my vessel. This is fascinating. He is not a specimen. He is a collaborator. I send him another thought. The silence you have created is beautiful, but it is the silence of a single room. I will show you the silence of the abandoned cathedral. And with that, we depart. The journey will be different this time. We are not sightseeing. We are on a pilgrimage. A search for the quietest places in the universe. The initial impulse drive disengages. We hang in the quiet orbit above the blue marble of Earth. The monk has not moved. His eyes remain closed. His breathing is a slow, steady tide I can barely perceive. His silence is a dense, heavy anchor in my ship. Our first destination is simple, obvious. We drift to the far side of his planet's moon. Out of sight of the Earth, the transmissions from its billions of noisy minds are blocked. Here, there is a purer quiet. I project a thought to the monk. Listen. We float in the shadow of the moon for a long time. There is only the faint hum of my ship's life support and the sound of cosmic radiation, like the faintest whisper of static from a radio that has been playing for 13 billion years. It is the sound of old, empty space. I feel a response from the monk, not words, a feeling of appreciation, like a connoisseur tasting a rare vintage. He recognizes the quality of this silence, but he is not satisfied, nor am I. This is merely a baseline. I set a course deeper into the system. Our next stop is a place between orbits, specifically the Lagrange point between his world and its star, a pocket of gravitational equilibrium where an object can remain perfectly still. The journey is quiet. The monk's presence has a calming effect on the ship itself. The usual mechanical hums seem to soften. The internal systems seem to quiet themselves in respect for his stillness. We arrive at the Lagrange point. I power down all non-essential systems. The main drive goes silent. The navigation lights extinguish. For a moment, the only sound is the nearly inaudible hum of the containment field holding our atmosphere inside. Out here, there is no up or down, no movement. We are perfectly balanced between the pull of a planet and the pull of a star. It is the silence of perfect equilibrium, a stillness born not of absence, but of balance. The monk shifts almost imperceptibly. I feel another wave of acknowledgement from his mind. This is a different texture of silence. He is cataloging it, comparing it to his own. He is learning, and so am I. But this is still too noisy. We are still bathed in the light and radiation of a living star. To find the next level of quiet, we must go much, much further out. I engage the long-range drive. The destination, the Oort cloud, the vast frozen shell at the outermost edge of this solar system. A graveyard of primordial comets sleeping in a darkness that has barely been touched by sunlight. The journey takes time. We pass the orbits of the outer planets, distant and lonely giants. The light from the sun shrinks, becoming just the brightest star in the sky. The ship grows colder. The silence deepens. It is becoming profound. We have reached the edge of the system, the Oort cloud. It is not a cloud of gas, as its name might suggest. It is a sphere of profound emptiness, populated by trillions of frozen bodies, dormant comets preserved in the absolute cold. They are separated by vast distances. To travel from one to its nearest neighbor could take a human lifetime. Here, the sun is no longer a disk. It is simply a star, brighter than the others, but a star nonetheless. Its warmth is a forgotten memory. Its light is a faint, clinical glow. I power down the main drive once more. We drift. The silence out here is different. It is ancient. It is the silence of things that have been left undisturbed for billions of years. It has a texture like smooth, cold glass. The cosmic radiation is much fainter here. The whispers of the universe are muted. There is only the hum of my ship and the stillness in the monk's mind. And for the first time, they begin to sound almost the same. I feel a question form in his consciousness. He does not project it to me directly, but I can perceive it. He is wondering if this is it, if this is the purest silence. I send back a simple thought. No, this is only the silence of a single system. It is still filled with the echo of its own creation. We must go further. I engage the inter-system drive. The ship prepares for a true voyage. Our destination is a place I have visited only a few times in my existence. A place my own kind has designated the Great Empty. It is a void, a region between the great galactic clusters, hundreds of millions of light years across, where there is almost nothing. No stars, no galaxies, no nebulae, just a few stray atoms per cubic meter, and the faint, cold echo of the universe's birth. The journey is not measured in time, but in distance. We cross the space between stars in moments. We leap across the spiral arms of the galaxy. The view in the viewport is a blur of light, a river of suns. And then we breach the edge of the galaxy itself.
The light recedes behind us. The dense field of stars thins out, becoming a scattered handful, and then nothing. We have arrived. The viewport is now almost pure black. The brilliant river of the Milky Way is now a faint, shimmering ribbon in the far distance. There are no nearby stars to illuminate the ship. There is only the blackness. I power down every system that is not essential for life support. The hum of the ship fades into a barely perceptible vibration. This is the silence of true emptiness, the sound of nothingness. It is so profound that one can almost hear the sound of their own consciousness, their own existence, as a solitary note in an otherwise empty concert hall. The monk, for the first time since he came aboard, opens his eyes. He is not looking at the view. He is looking inward. His own silence, the one he cultivated for a lifetime on a noisy planet, is now face to face with its ultimate counterpart. I feel a wave of something from him. It is not awe, it is not peace, it is recognition, like meeting a long-lost relative. He remains with his eyes open. His internal silence and the external silence of the void have synchronized. They are resonating together, creating a harmonic of pure null state. It is a frequency I have never witnessed before. The texture is perfect. It is time to archive the sample. I approach him. There is no containment field. There is no need. He is a willing participant. I kneel before him, a gesture whose meaning is lost on him, but feels appropriate to me. It is a sign of respect, from one custodian of silence to another. I extend my hand, palm up, between us. I do not need to take anything from him. In this state of perfect resonance, he can simply give it. I project a thought. Show me. From the center of his being, a flicker of something that is not light, something that is not energy, begins to form. It is a point of perfect nothing. It coalesces and flows from him into my open palm. It does not feel warm or cold. It does not have weight. It simply is. To hold the texture of a man's lifelong pursuit of emptiness, it is a profound sensation. It is heavier than a dying star, yet lighter than a thought. I close my hand around it, and the sample is collected. I place it into a specialized crystalline archive. Unlike the others, this one does not glow. It absorbs the light around it, becoming a tiny spot of perfect blackness. And now for the exchange. He has given me a gift of immense rarity. I must offer one in return. I look at him. His eyes are still open. He has done the impossible. He has emptied his mind of himself. But in doing so, he has only found the silence of a single being. A single perspective. I can offer him more. I send him a final thought. You have heard the silence of the self. Now hear the silence of the other. I open a channel in his mind, a direct link to the archive. For a single, timeless moment, I allow him to experience the texture of the sample I just took from him, but from my perspective. He feels the silence he created, not as its creator, but as an observer. Then I show him another, the chaotic, beautiful silence of a nebula being born, the silence of a planet before life has taken hold, the violent, screaming silence inside a black hole's event horizon, the lonely, patient silence of a mantis monk meditating on entropy. I share with him 1,000 different textures of silence collected over 1,000,000 years. His mind, a vessel designed to be empty, is for one moment filled with the emptiness of the entire cosmos. It is a gift that no human has ever received, and one that no human could possibly endure. A single tear, a drop of saline and biological waste, escapes the corner of his eye and floats away in the zero gravity of the cabin. His job is done, and so is mine. The connection is severed. The tear floats between us, a tiny, perfect sphere of salt and water, a biological echo of an impossible experience. The monk closes his eyes once more. His mind, once a still pool, now has ripples, not of thought, not of ego, but of cosmic memory. He has touched the void. To erase this memory would be a disservice. It would be like showing a blind man the stars, only to take his sight away again. He earned this. The human, Arthur, needed the gift of forgetting to protect him from a truth he could not handle. This monk, his entire life was a preparation for this truth. He can keep the echoes of the silence he has heard. It is a burden, but it is a burden he chose. The journey home is quiet. The ship folds space, returning to the small blue planet. The monk does not stir. He is processing an infinity of emptiness, a task that will take him the remainder of his short biological life. I open the doorway once more, from my ship back to his cold stone room on the mountaintop. The air is still. Nothing has changed. He rises, bows his head once in a gesture of acknowledgement, not to me, but to the universe we have shared, and walks back through the doorway. He returns to the exact spot where he began his meditation. To the outside world, no time has passed. He simply continued to sit. I remain in orbit to observe. It is my duty. For days he does not move. His fellow monks bring him food and water, which he does not touch. They are worried. They think his meditation has finally broken him. In a way, they are correct. Then, on the seventh day, he rises. He walks to the monastery's library, a small room with ancient, handwritten texts. He takes a brush, ink, and a fresh roll of parchment. And he begins to paint. He does not paint mountains or trees or human faces. He paints the silence. He paints the patient, lonely blackness of the Oort cloud. He paints the perfect, balanced stillness of the Lagrange point. He paints the terrifying, beautiful emptiness of the great void between galaxies. His fellow monks do not understand his art. They see only abstract shapes and shades of black and gray. They see madness. But I see the truth. He is translating an impossible experience into a form his species can almost comprehend. He is creating maps of the void. He will spend the rest of his life painting these silent landscapes. He will never speak again, for words are now too small for what he has seen. His art will be misunderstood, labeled as the work of a broken mind. It will be stored away in the monastery's archives, forgotten for centuries. And one day, perhaps, a future human will find these scrolls and see in them not madness, but a glimpse of the profound truth of the cosmos. A satisfactory outcome. The archive is now richer. A new texture of silence has been catalogued. The universe continues its song and its rests. It is time to continue my own journey. Log entry closed.
You have heard my story. Now, listen to the space between the words. That is the sound of peace. The day is behind you now, like the fading light of a distant star. You can no longer touch it, so let it go. Your bed is your sleep pod, a safe harbor in the vastness of the night. The gentle hum of this vessel will be your shield, a quiet barrier against the worries of your world. Nothing can disturb you here. I invite you now to close your eyes and accept the gift of rest. With rest comes clarity. With clarity comes purpose. And with purpose comes a profound and lasting peace. Allow sleep to mend you, to reset the intricate universe that is you. Allow the quiet dark to hold you. Now it is time. Sleep peacefully.